It is quite interesting how I ended up here today. This is a very recent experiment. Does anyone here know Michael Singer? The book Untethered Soul? So there's also another book called Surrender Experiment. So I read The Untethered Soul a while back. This is not TGR. This is kind of parallel to it. We will get into TGR, which will be very helpful for most of you. I read that book, and all I thought was, I read it twice, The Surrender Experiment. You got to read it a couple times to get it. And I remember thinking, here's a man who never wanted anything, never desired anything, never set his own goals. He actually only wanted to be in peace. So he didn't want anyone to bother him, so he could sit down in meditation, go into stillness, and silence the voice in his mind. And somehow, life pulled him into corners where he never expected to be. Life pulled him into building a construction company that became a multi-million-dollar business called Build with Love. Life pulled him into creating a temple church, where it's called the Universal Temple in, I think it's Virginia. And it's like still there. You can literally go and watch him speak right now for free. He doesn't charge anything every week, twice a week. And it pulled him into building a billion-dollar business in the medical space, software medical, when the dot-com boom was happening. None of which he wanted to do. If you ever actually read his story, he never wanted to do it. In fact, the voice in his head would tell him, no, don't do that, it's a lot of work, all this, it would just tell him, no, and he would say yes. And he just learned to surrender. And I read that book, and there's only one thought I had. I was just curious. I've always been a curious person. Anyone here curious? I mean, if you're an entrepreneur, you're somewhat curious. To what extent is the question? Some people get curious themselves all the way to becoming a monk. Other people learn just enough to get super rich and realize that it's easy to make a happy life, a good one. I'm a little more excessive in curiosity. So I thought, well, if we know that you can surrender and more than you can ever achieve on your own can happen, why are we not surrendering? That was my curiosity. So 80 days ago, this is probably the 81st day, I started an experiment. This is not planned, by the way. This is not my slideshow, just so you know. This is spirit. This is not a part of the presentation. 81 days ago, I decided, I'm like, okay, I built my business. I made a lot of money. I spent 6 years running an online company. And I achieved everything I wanted. I had multiple cars, a young age, the reputation, all the girls I could ask for, the respect. I loved what I did. I was happy. You would say you're happy, right? You have all the things you want. How many of you believe if you have everything you want, you're happy? Right. Good. So I thought I have everything. And I'm doing everything I want to do. I thought happiness is doing only what I want to do and having everything I want to have. See, nothing about who you become is in there, is there? But happiness is an extension of who you are. Interesting enough, I got to this place and I was like the biggest I could be, and I was the most miserable I ever was. I went from a small condo in Miami to owning a villa with a maid, and it was insane. I was just spending money like crazy. So I had no financial advisors. I just spent all of it. I didn't care. I just thought, abundance, I have it. It doesn't matter. But I was so curious as to why I had more than I ever had. I'd done more than I'd ever done. I'd done all the productivity stuff. I've been a high performer for 10 years. I know all the difference between sleeping difference, the supplements, the mindset work. I could work 18 hours straight and love it and tell you, probably you lied to me back then, was I love this. This is what I want to do, 18 hours straight. I was the guy in the elevator at 6 a.m. going home from my office and be like, you motherfucker, I believe in you, in the mirror. Strong self-image, strong self-actualization. Self-actualization is the process of setting goals and an identity and becoming it. That's what the entire personal development industry is made of. Yes or no? That's what it is, right? Tony Robbins, Napoleon Hill, all of these guys. Bob Proctor, what do you want? Here's how you use the mind. Leverage the laws of the universe and achieve it. Become that. But there's a whole another way of living. I was afraid, and I think most of us are, to even try to taste it, experience it. Well, I'm coming out of the spiritual closet. And for me, I'm experimenting it. And so far, it's proven to be a far more delicious way of living. 81 days ago, I decided, at first, it was an experiment to turn my life around. I'm like, you know what? I built everything, I lost it. That's a good way to silence the ego, especially if you don't quit. So the greatest thing you could lose, and Napoleon talks about this, there's two types of failures. One is very easy to get back, and the other one is extremely difficult. Material failure is easy to get back. You lose money, you lose a relationship, you lose a business, you lose an opportunity. If you fail in a material way, it's easy to get it back. You just work again. What happens when you lose an immaterial thing, like belief? It's far more dangerous. I lost my belief. I never thought it was possible to lose belief in myself. But when you hit back-to-back failure for a long time, and you don't see the end of the tunnel, and all you could think is, why the fuck is all this happening? I'm doing all the right things. You start to question, am I really that good? It's funny, I started believing, I'm like, I always thought I was right. That's why I was rich. Because in coaching, they pay you to be right. They pay you to always know the answers. I was telling Zach the other day, I'm like, it's a lot of pressure, isn't it? Being in this space of teaching and coaching and consulting, because you always got to know the answers. You always got to be better than them. You always got to be ahead of them, especially if you're teaching businesses, which is all I did for years. There was no chill. There's like absolutely no space for me to experiment, for me to fail, because I have to know all the answers. So my whole life was built around my ego. But I built a healthy one. That's the process of thinking rich, building a constructive ego instead of a destructive ego. And I reached a point where I just thought, man, I think I'm right, but am I really right, or am I just wrong, and it's just a matter of time to find out? That's one of the wisdoms you learn in life. That we're all probably fucking wrong about the things we think are right about. Just takes time to find out. Our parents try to tell us this. Hey, when you become a parent, you'll know. It's true. Maybe not specifically, but the gist of it is true. As you change as a person, you realize your ego develops. There's a part of you that's outside of your ego. That part of you starts to notice your ego and go, oh, you weren't right the whole time, but you helped me a lot, and I'm okay with that, thank you. But at some point, master has to come home. And what I mean by that is the ego is a great servant, but a shitty master. And when the master isn't home, ego's chewing up the couch like a dog at home with no leash, shitting all over your rugs, barking at the neighbors. How many of you guys have an ego like that sometimes? Be honest, right? Brings out your vices, your cravings, your impulses, your reactions, your angers, negative thoughts, all the crap. Because master isn't home. And when you're not home, that thing will take over your life. It'll ruin everything you built. The same very source that helps you actually achieve it all could be the exact same source that helps you lose it all. So what does it mean to be master at home? Well, if I have time another day, and we have more time together, I can share those things with you. Because that's more of self-realization, not self-actualization. But today, I'm going to teach you how to think and grow rich. Anyone ready for that?
I mean, I can't what to do at the end of it. I can't finish this thought.
I'm sorry, I prepared for this, not for the spirit. I'll lead it with this. What I'm going to share with you is Napoleon Hill and Think and Grow Rich is not about making money, it's about making a life. The deeper you go into his works, it's not about money. It's about actually living in peace. His first book ever he wrote was The Law of Success. That's probably not true. It's just the first manuscripts he wrote. He sold that for a while. Think and Grow Rich was the first famous book he had. After that, he wrote something called Outwitting the Devil, which he was too scared to publish. Anyone here read it? Yeah. So that one actually changed my life more than Think and Grow Rich. Think and Grow Rich is about the principles of success. Outwitting the Devil is the principles of failure. And what I learned after reading it is that until you outwit the devil, you cannot think and grow rich. So if you're going to start somewhere, start with outwitting the devil.
What's the name of it? What did you say it's called?
Outwitting the devil.
Outwitting?
The devil. It's really good, as Zach likes to put it. It's kind of like a podcast between Napoleon and the devil, and he's confessing all the ways he takes over your life. Very beautiful way. You know why it works really well? For me, I read Think and Grow Rich, and I thought, this is really good. I should do this, right? I should have definite purpose. I should go the extra mile. I should have a positive attitude. But when I read Outwitting the Devil, I read this and I'm like, this MF, this devil's doing this shit to me? I'm not going to let him anymore. So it made it really easy for me to take control over my mind. I just would think about it. I'm like, every time something would happen that I knew in the book was like, this is what I do to make you drift. I'm like, nope, not today. So it really helped me. And I like superhero stuff. So for me, I'm like, I need a villain. So it's really cool to know the principles of success. But if you're carrying with yourself invisible drifting habits, you're done. You can't do it. You'll never have peace. Even if you get everything on the outside, the inside will not feel the same. Everyone with me so far?
Yeah.
All right, cool. I'm going to take a deep breath with me. So I'm going to share with you as best as I can the bridge between Think and Grow Rich but self-realization. Because my hope for all of you is, how many of you guys have successful businesses? Right? Yeah? Of course you do, yeah. You make money. If you make more than you need, you have a successful business. If you've been in business for more than 3 years, you're probably really good at what you do. Right? So I can connect you on that level. But if any one of you seek more beyond that, you want to know what more is there. What does surrender mean? What does it mean? Can I really have peace of mind and be rich? Those questions we can talk. This is more about the journey of a young man that grew up with nothing, becoming what I am today. And that's an inspiring story. I think it'll help, it'll serve. But if anything more than that, we can talk outside. That's not the last time we get to see each other. Cool? Everyone good? Yes. All right, great. So if you have something to take notes on, like a phone, I'd keep it out just in case. Oftentimes I drop the odd pearl, a couple gold nuggets here and there, something that usually sticks and you want to remember for a good time. That's at least how I like to listen, because I walk away with actionable kind of like quotes or fortune cookie, quotes. So have something ready.
Gotcha.
So, sleeping power that lies within us all. It's going to be fun. So in all of our lives, there is a turning point. And we have turning points in our lives. We can all think of a certain moment in our time, in our life, where something happened where we're like, we didn't expect that. It wasn't part of the plan. And so in all of our lives, turning points usually come at the most unexpected times, in the most unexpected places, and in the most unexpected ways. So me being here today could very well be a turning point for you. Just like it was for me many years ago when I met the president of Think and Grow Rich. Back then, I was running a seminar business. It was called Reborn. I did transformation work. It was the first business I had. And I did that for about 3 years, teaching speakers and then teaching pretty much self-transformation, helping people with like marriages, suicide. Like we did a lot of great work. At that time, I wanted to be Tony Robbins. I saw one event with him and I'm like, I'm going to be the biggest Tony Robbins in the world. I had no one did back then. I had no father figure. I had no goals. None of my teachers told me I could be anything more. Funny enough, I had my basketball coach here from high school. From 12 years ago, I haven't seen him. And like, I was there, I'm like, I remember my time with him too. He was probably one of the few people that really tried to help me out, mentor me. But other than that, no one really told me I could be something. So what happens when you go to an event and you see this guy on stage who's like, I didn't have anything. And I just started on my own, right? And I'm like, okay, well, if this guy could do it and take 3 days of an NLP course and then not finish the course and just run out and do it, I'm like, I'll do that. So I got really excited and I started this business and like it really grew quickly. It was insane how fast it worked. I really felt purpose, definiteness of purpose. That's all I had. I was living, Think and Grow Rich. I didn't even know it. All I had was vision. I was just selling Kevin as well. All I had was vision. I was a 20-year-old kid running these events, and I'd have a room with like 15 volunteers, grown people with kids and jobs and more money than me, more everything than me, but none of them had the one thing I had, and they were following me for it. Vision. They didn't have a definite purpose. I believed in where I was going more than anyone else, and when you're in the room and you have the strongest certainty and you have the biggest vision, people follow you. That's what I learned by accident, just sitting there. I'm like, how come these people are helping me? And so I started this business. It was fun. And from that, I got invited to speak at this back alley church event. Now, usually I don't go to speak at these events because it was like an employment seminar. It was something out of the ordinary. And that day I had two other events I was speaking at, and this was one of them. And I'm like, I'll do it. I was kind of doing a favor for a friend. It wasn't paid or anything. I just went to go speak. And so this guy, one of my business partners, he had a client who was like, I'm doing this event. Can you bring all the speakers? So we did. I show up there, and there were more speakers than attendees. It was a church. It kind of looked like that. There was like 4 people in the audience for this employment seminar, and there was 8 speakers. Now, one of those speakers was the president of Think and Grow Rich, and I didn't know he was going to be there. I paid very close attention. This is going to be important for this story. That day, my dad offered to drive me to this event. It was the only event he could drive me to. The other 2 he couldn't take me to. And he never comes with me when he was alive at the time to these events. He never came out with me ever. This is an important thing to remember, this detail. So keep that in your mind. So we go in there, and I'm fed up with the event. Like, it was just really annoying, and I was so upset. But then Satish went on stage and started speaking. He's the president of Think and Grow Rich. He started talking about thoughts and whatever the mind can conceive and believe it can achieve. I'd never seen my dad listen to someone so closely. Like, he's a traditional old Persian guy. Like, he was sitting there, he's like, this guy, whatever he's saying is very good. And I'm like, what is he saying? Because I was pissed. I started listening. I'm like, huh. And I'm listening to him like, wow, this is really profound stuff. As he was talking, my mind came as like, partner with them, like do something with Think and Grow Rich. And I'm like, okay. So I set my mind on, I'm going to talk to him after the event. I went up there, I did my thing. The guy completely schedule was off, upside down, everything. I had 15 minutes for me. I was supposed to have 45. So I went up there and did my Tony Robbins thing. I got up at 15 minutes. I got everyone to stand up, breathing, doing crazy shit. People were crying. And I'm like, everyone grab my number if you want to come to my event. And I'm on the way out because I was late for the next event. But I'm like, I got to talk to Satish. I walk up to him and I say, hello, sir. It's a pleasure meeting you. Now, I have read Think and Grow Rich. You guys know Think and Grow Rich, the book, right? I never knew there's an institution that sells courses and there's you could become a certified TGR coach. I didn't know this stuff existed. So I didn't know he existed. I just thought it was a book. I'm like, it's a pleasure meeting you, sir. And I walked up to him, I looked at him, and he had this like old Indian philosophical, spiritual kind of thing to him. Like, it's perfect, right? Like, all the Westerners go to India, they learn from some spiritual guru, and they come back and they build businesses. Like, here's the guy in the flesh with me, living in Mississauga, Ontario. I'm like, I'm so grateful. So I met him, and he's like, I'm really proud of you, what you're doing at your age. I'm like, thank you, sir. I was really hoping if I can get a lunch with you, that I could work with you, and, I just want to get to know your story. He goes, sure, we could do a lunch. And then I go, awesome. And before I could leave, he grabs my hand. He shakes my hand, grabs it. That was my dad. He was the one listening. He shakes my hand, and he goes, it tells me a lot about you that you're here with your father. I still don't know what that means. But I'm like, thank you, sir. I'm like, I'll see you soon. I got his number. I walked out. The reason why that was so important is to this day I still remember it. He wasn't supposed to be there. He never comes out with me. But it was the one thing that stood me out. And later on in the years, I asked him, like, what do you mean? He's like, it just showed me your values, like that you're there with your dad. There's a humility there. Dad's there with you. It's not just some show for you. I'm like, okay. And so this is an important thing. It's the first thing you can write down. There's an invisible hand in all of our lives that is moving the pieces for us. There is an invisible hand in all of our lives that is moving the pieces for us. You know it. Something inside of you knows it. Even if it's kind of odd to accept. But there is. Some of you call it coincidence. I call it spirit. Doesn't matter what you call it. The name doesn't matter. That realm doesn't operate with labels and intellect. They don't give a shit. They're laughing at us. They're like, oh, okay, you can call me that? Okay, awesome. They don't care. Point is that we acknowledge that we're aware of it. That day happened without my choice. So we went to this lunch. This was my turning point. I go to this lunch with him. The true story is it took us 4 lunches because he wouldn't answer my question, how can I work with you? So it took me 4 lunches for me to get his point. But I'm going to skip to the lunch where we actually had the breakthrough. I was sitting down with him. He goes, Armin, what do you want in your life? I said, I want to be bigger than Tony Robbins. That was actually my goal. That's it. 22 years old. I'm like, that's it. He goes, why bigger than Tony Robbins? Why can't you just be Armin? This kind of shook me a bit because I'm like, what do you mean? I thought his success is become the biggest, right? Find someone, compare yourself, beat them, modeling, all the stuff that I learned. And I asked him, like, what do you mean, be myself? Isn't it being myself by finding a role model and trying to be like them? He goes, Armin, every time we compare ourselves to others, we always fall short. There's no winning in that game. So he goes, never look up at someone. Never look down at someone. Look at them eye to eye. He goes, you can do anything you want. Don't limit yourself to Tony Robbins. Now, this is an important moment for me because my whole life, nobody spoke to me like that. Here's the first guy I'm talking to who's telling me to believe in me. Not that I'm missing something. Not that I need to be someone else. Not that I need to do something different. Not what I have wrong with me, like I grew up around, always messing things up, showing me what I can't do. It's the first guy who was making me think for myself. So I said, okay. So he goes, so what do you want? I said, sir, I just want to work at Think and Grow Rich. Whatever you guys need. I can market, I can sell, I can run events, I can do anything. What do you need? He goes, I don't need anything from you. So what do you want? I said, well, I can do anything you want. What do you need? Like, what do you want? What would you like? What do you need help with right now? I'll do it. Anything. I just want to work with Think and Grow Rich. He goes, okay. What do you want? And I'm sitting there, I'm like, I don't know how to work with this. I'm a sales guy too, so I'm like, is he running a sales script on me or something? A reverse selling? No, genuinely, he was completely detached. He still is to this day. I've known him for my whole life, my whole entrepreneurial life. And I said, Satish, I don't know. I just want to work with Think and Grow Rich. He goes, okay. And he looked at me and he says to me, it changed my life forever. He said, Armin, if your desire is strong enough, I can't stop you. I'm sitting there, popping bottles in my head. I'm thinking, Vice President of Think and Grow Rich sounds nice. But then the immediate thought came to me, I'm like, who the hell am I? I'm a kid that grew up in an immigrant family. I have nothing going for me. I have no experience. I have nothing. I just have a delusional belief in myself. I'm like, there are literally billionaires that attest their success to Think and Grow Rich. There's so much better people, more qualified people. to be the vice president of Think and Grow Rich. So I was too embarrassed. I didn't say anything. I just looked at him. I said, why don't I just start by helping you sell your courses? Extra amount. Just go beyond your expectation. You didn't expect anything from me? I'm like, I'll just help you sell courses. He goes, sure. So we partnered on it. And that's Satish Verma. We partnered on it. And I held this big event. I did all the work. I did everything. And some of you guys, you know where you started. Unfortunately, in this world, entrepreneurs are very soft. They don't understand the point of extra mile and earning the right. I went out of my way, man. I put like 30 grand into an event. I put 100 people in a room. I put them on that stage and we sold courses. And we filled an entire room. So for the next year, I worked with him. I would put on my own events. I'd sell them. I'd take over all expense, everything. Even his events, I would take over the operation. And he would just come in and he would teach. And we would all be blown away, and I'd fill the rooms. And so because I was filling the rooms, I would sit in the class with the students. I'd be around all the people that I told. I'm taking notes. And I started to become like a really good student. And by a year later in the future, they gave me this award. I was sitting there. I'm like, why did they give me this award? Because I sit at every class. I was asking the best questions. I was reading the book on my off time. I got so good eventually he started asking me to teach with him. So I started to sit at the front of the class in front of 20, 30 students at a time for 3-day seminars, teaching, Think and Grow Rich. I'm like, here's this 23-year-old kid sitting down. Like a year ago I met him. I didn't even know what was possible. You're around the world. I'll give you the world. They all offer him all these things. None of them have lasted. No one's had a relationship with him outstanding more longer than I have with him. I'm telling you from observation. I'm not even gloating about it. I'm like, it's interesting. Like, no one's here still. And big guys came to him. We're going to do this for TGR. They're nowhere to be found, man. Still, he's in my life for the last 6 years. So he started teaching. And one day, the impossible happened. It was about a year later. And I'm driving to my office. He gives me a call. And he calls me and he says, hey, Armin, what are you doing on this day? Sometime in March or something, or June. I go, I don't know yet. Well, what do you need? He goes, well, look, I got invited to speak at the CEO conference to teach Think and Grow Rich to a bunch of CEOs. He said, but I'm going to be in Australia that week. I can't go. I said, okay. He goes, why don't you go and speak instead of me? Man, all my butterflies came out of my stomach. I'm like, oh, shit. Holy shit. I've only been teaching with him at the front of his classes of the people I know. I'm going to travel to the States, speak to CEOs, Think and Grow Rich. I'm like, all the voice came in my head again, right? A little chatter in the head. Oh, da, da, da. I said, are you sure, sir? He's like, yeah, you should go. And this is where the extra mile pays off. You just don't do it long enough to see, eh? So I said, no problem, sir. I'll do it, whatever you need. But just one question. I'm going to go there. I'm going to know one. They don't know who I am. They know your name. You're on the name of the license. You're on the name of the website. Like, what am I supposed to tell them? Who the hell am I? He could just tell me you're the vice president of Think and Grow Rich. I said, yes, sir. I remember sitting there hanging up the phone thinking, holy shit. I had completely forgotten that lunch. I completely forgot I had that thought. I was so lost in the service of doing it and growing, I forgot what I wanted. And only a year later, I walked into the CEO conference. I started teaching these CEOs. The content was so transformational that when we finished the talks, there's like a group of people that came back to my hotel, wouldn't leave me alone just to learn more. Really cool stuff. Not my content. But I went in there, I was a student, I had paid the price, I was learning every day. So, since then, it's been 6 years, we've been co-teaching together, Think and Grow Rich, but honestly, we've been beyond that. Even him, we've taken a much more wider turn with Think and Grow Rich. Think and Grow Rich is a good course for learning how to develop and direct the mind. But there's so much more to the power of the mind and you beyond that. So we are kind of learning together, him and his son and me. And so that's what we do now. He's been in all my programs. I've been in his programs. It's a beautiful time of work. So I want everyone to remember this. There is a power that lies within us all, that when we know how to access it, nothing is impossible. A random kid born in Scarborough with no experience, no background, no nothing, no reason, logically, no reason to become vice president. And I just want to make this clear. I say that and it means nothing to me. I really say it for you, just so you can see a destination point to the point of the message here. It doesn't mean anything. Titles don't mean shit. If you run a business, you already know. You don't give roles to people, you give them responsibilities. Much different. Leadership is responsibility, not a title. But I think it's really cool to see that the voice in my head didn't tell me it's possible. Nothing in my life around me, evidence told me it's possible. See, if we wait for circumstance to tell us what's possible, we'd be riding horses today. It takes creative vision to think beyond what we already see in the evidence of our surrounding, to believe we can do more. That's what Think and Grow Rich is about. So let's begin. How many of you want to unlock Think and Grow Rich, like truly unlock it? Yes or no? Yes. You guys want to unlock it? Yes. Can I get a water first? Is that okay? Is that an open one? Thank you very much. So, if you want to unlock Think and Grow Rich, I've been studying this for 8 years, and I'm still learning. So I can't really promise that you'll unlock Think and Grow Rich in one session. But what I can do is introduce you to the first lessons the president himself learned that helped him get out of bankruptcy, get back his wealth, and become the president of Think and Grow Rich. You guys want to hear that story? Is that okay? Bankruptcy to president of Think and Grow Rich. Quite a story. So let's begin. This is Satish Verma, and he didn't know Think and Grow Rich early in his life. He was living it without knowing. And some of you might notice that you kind of live the principles, the success you have are based on the things you did. You didn't even know it. Because Think and Grow Rich is not a personal opinion. It took 20 years of research. It was a study done on what they see in people that do that, which means you don't need to read it to do it. You don't need to read it to be successful. It's that you might be doing those things without noticing. So he just observed for 20 years all the great people, and he said, this is what they do. So we might be able to do it. So he was very much like that. And how he was introduced to Think and Grow Rich is he hit a really bad investment, and he got scammed out of it. He went from $500,000 in income, in savings, to $500 in his bank account. So one bad real estate investment. Talk about deals. It's quite a deal. He lost all his wealth. Now this is a guy who had a master's degree, was very smart. He went the traditional path. He was self-disciplined. It shouldn't have happened to someone like him, right? His ego was like, yeah, I'm fine. I pretty much know the game, right? And then one bad investment, boom, $500. In this place, imagine, you have $500 to your name. You have a wife and kids you got to take care of. What do you do? So this is the situation he was in. Now, at that time, he was kind of in real estate too, and he had a mentor. And his mentor said, Satish, if you want to really change the situation, pick up the book Think and Grow Rich. Now, he had heard about the book, and he goes, what the hell is this Think and Grow Rich book going to do for me? I'm in bankruptcy, man. How many years did it take to get out of bankruptcy? Tell me the number. 7 years. Yeah, everyone say 7. 7 years, right? You guys falling asleep? Everyone say 7 with me? 7. 7 years it takes. With the power of Think and Grow Rich, he got out of it in 6 months. If you tell that story, you'll be like, there's no way. Yeah. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. So he thought, he's like, I have nothing else, so I might as well go. So he goes to the library, he picks up the book, and when he was picking up the book, he was opening it, going through it, it felt kind of like there was like this spirit to the book, like this essence. He didn't know how to explain it, just like something was in it. So he bought the book, he's like, okay. Actually, he didn't buy the book, he was reading it, and he was in the library, and he was going through the pages, and then he goes to the back, and on the back it said Napoleon Hill Foundation. There was an ad for buying the course. So he thought, maybe I should buy the course. I don't have much time. I got to get myself out of the situation. Why don't I just buy the course? It'll be faster instead of reading the whole book. So he calls them, and they tell him, okay, at those times, you have to mail the lessons to you. Pre-internet times. Quite a patient era. They tell him on the phone, they say, yeah, no problem. You can buy the self-study course at home, and we'll mail you the lessons one by one. He goes, how much is it? He goes, $300. Now, how much did he have in his bank account? How much of his net worth does the course cost? 60% of his net worth at the time, with a wife and kids, he had to choose to pay for this course. So, he tried to talk to his wife about it. And he says, that's the closest I ever came to divorce in my marriage. Right there, that moment. But nonetheless, she believed in him, and she said, do it, but make sure you know what you're doing. He said, no problem. So he takes 60% of his net worth and buys this course. And they mailed a lesson to him. And they gave him one lesson, but in that, several secrets. And he shares this, and he gave me permission to share his story with you guys. This is not my presentation, this is his. So he gets this lesson and he starts learning. And I'm going to walk you through these secrets. You guys ready? These are the lessons that he learned from lesson 1 package that changed his entire life around. Secret number 1. Success in life is a game. In any game you do not know the rules to, if you want to win, you must know the rules. Success in life is a game. In any game you want to win, you must know the rules. If you don't know the rules, you will surely lose, or worse, you'll be kicked out of the game. That can mean whatever you think it means. So, he's sitting there thinking, I went to school, I have a master's degree, I was pretty smart, I had $500,000 saved up. He thought he knew the rules. But yet here he is in this terrible adversity, he doesn't know what to do with it. And he started to read this lesson, and he started to realize, you know what? No school actually teaches you the rules. The actual rules to success in life. How to build a positive life, how to build wealth, how to build your personality. No school teaches you how to become a positive person, how to handle adversities and failures, how to develop a magnetic personality, how to inspire yourself and others. They don't teach you how to have confidence or faith in yourself. In other words, they don't teach you how to believe in yourself. They don't teach you how to live the actual life they're sending you into. They give you subjects to learn, and topics, and knowledge. School isn't bad. It just doesn't teach you these things. So they assume they give you all the stuff. You're like, oh, you're going to figure it out. And so he's reading this. He's thinking, holy shit, I don't know the rules. Because he learned other things than the actual rules that matter. Like in this adversity, he doesn't know what to do with it. Jim Rohn said it nicely. Formal education will make you a living, but self-education will make you a fortune. And this is what he started to realize. Then he kept reading. He went on to secret number 2. Now I'm going to share some concepts with you guys you probably never heard before. Take notes on them. Internalize them later on. Introspect. That's where the real benefit comes from these. You don't have to. I'm just saying I recommend it. Secret number 2 he read, and this one startled him the most. It said, there are man-made laws and there are mind-made laws. There are man-made laws and there are mind-made laws. I'll explain. See, if you go into a 40 zone on the road and you drive 70, what happens? You may get a speeding ticket, right? You may or may not get what? Caught. You may or may not get caught. Okay, now if you get caught, you may or may not get a ticket. You never know, right? It's not 100%. Now, if you drive that speeding limit 40 to the dot, how many of you have gotten rewards and accolades for driving the speed limit? So what do we know about man-made laws? When you break them, you may or may not get punished, and when you follow them, you're never rewarded. Mind-made law works differently. Mind-made laws, when you follow them, you are always rewarded. And when you break them, you are always punished. There is no escaping the watcher of your own mind. Mind-made laws govern differently. And most importantly, mind-made law supersedes man-made law. There is no man-made law that operates above mind-made laws. Now, I remember hearing this, and I thought, it's kind of like man-made laws are based on limitation, what you can't do. It's not based on promoting what you should do. But mind-made laws are based on liberation. When you understand the laws that are built into the nature of your mind and in this world, it liberates you, doesn't it? It gives you a sense of freedom for what is possible. But the way the world is designed is to make sure you never mess up by telling you what you can't do. Make sure you're punished for it. And they try their best, but they're not always, are they? Here's the first mind-made law Satish read. This was the beginning, for him, of Think and Grow Rich. It read, and feel free to read it with me. Whatever the mind can conceive, one more time all together. Whatever. First mind-made law he read. How many of you guys have heard of this one? Yes or no? You've heard it, right? Anyone know what it means? See, this is a question I had. I remember I sat there obsessively for so many years in those classes. I was like a little nerd. I'm trying to break down every little law. I'm like, so how come this to teach? How come this to teach? How come this to teach? And here's the first question I had. If this is true, why is so many people still stuck? Genuinely, I was curious. I want you to really contemplate what that says. Whatever you can conceive, anything you conceive in the mind, as long as you believe it, it will happen. Now, sounds like a very much godlike law, doesn't it? If you truly believe that, you should have everything you want, right? You should have everything, be everything, do everything. That's not how we are we? So I'll tell you. Here's what this really means. It's referring to the picturing power of the mind. People think it's about belief. I have to believe it. That's the key part of conceive, believe, achieve. Other people go, no, I have to achieve. I got to act. Some people go, no, it's conceive. Many people don't think conceive, though. But your success, the extent of your success, depends entirely upon the clarity of the mental picture and the picturing power of your mind. Now, what did Napoleon do better than anyone else? That's why he wrote the book. He spent a lot of time in silence. He spent a lot of time in his mind. A lot of us, we get caught up in the outer work, right? The doing every day, the meetings, the sales, the strategy, the planning, the deal making, the networking, the learning, the growing, the working out, the fitness, all this shit, isn't it? We develop everything outside of us. So much little time left to go inside to work on what really matters. The disciplining of the mind, the understanding of the mind, the controlling of that mind. That's what he did more than everything else. So here's a little tidbit for you. If you truly want to transform your life, spend the equivalent amount of time that you do in your life outside, inside. Try to spend 10% of it. You work 8 hours, try to spend 80 minutes in stillness and visualization and meditation, silence. 1 hour, just 1 hour of actual pure stillness and concentration of the mind on an idea is worth 100 hours you could ever work on your own. There's science done behind these things. But we don't get caught up in that, do we? We chase. It's the nature of the ego. Ego can't take us into the moment. Ego cannot live in the present moment. So what will it always do? Do you think it's going to help you find a way to get to stillness? No. It's going to keep finding ways to pull you out. It's going to put you into tomorrow. It's going to turn you back to yesterday. It's going to put you into the air, somewhere that's not even here. It doesn't want you to be awake. It does not want you to be self-aware and conscious because it is the death of itself. That is the art, that is the work of self-realization. Believe it or not, Napoleon was self-realizationist by the end of his life because the first book he ever read that got famous was Think and Grow Rich. You know what the last book was? Anyone know the last book he ever read before he died that he wrote? So he was in a hospital and he was a little sick. He was in his 80s. And one day he writes about this in the book. One day he just hears a voice come to him. He thought he was losing it. You know what the voice said? It said, "We are masters from the school of masters from the Himalayas. And we are channeling you because it's time for you to write a book, the last one you will write." Now you would think this guy's fucking batshit. But he's sitting in a hospital and he hears the voice. And he says, it's going to be called Grow Rich with Peace of Mind. I thought that's so beautiful. I'm getting chills even saying it. So beautiful. First book he wrote, Think and Grow Rich. Last book he wrote, Grow Rich with Peace of Mind. It's insane the full circle he went through. This guy's the godfather of practical success. And he finished with the spiritual principle, which is self-realization. None of it matters. You could have it all. A peace of mind is more important than anything else. This is what he did all day. The mind was sharp like a knife. Now, all of us, our intellect, our mind, our emotions, the work inside of us, they're like knives, like kitchen knives. But the problem is we're out there, we're cutting ourselves with them, cutting other people with them. But the knife is not the problem. It's the misuse of it, the mismanagement of it. Learn to use the intellect, learn to use the mind, learn to use the emotion, learn to use the awareness. Like a knife, you cut through everything in that kitchen. Make anything you want. Every recipe works. Now, if a person doesn't know how to handle a knife, you give them the best recipe in the world, nothing will happen. So Satish read this quote, and he said, okay, well, if mind-made law supersedes a man-made law, and one of the laws is whatever I can conceive and believe I can achieve, he thought to himself, well, they tell me it takes 7 years to get out of bankruptcy. He goes, I'll get out in 6 months. He just planted that idea in his mind. He said, screw it. I'm going to do it in 6 months. I have no idea how. Does the how matter when you know the what?
Why?
Yes or no? No. I said, does the how matter when you know the what? There's no why in that one. He just knows what he wanted. He had no idea why. He was just experimenting. Why is not the... Yes or no, guys?
No.
You guys with me? I can email the rest of this presentation to you if you want. Oh. Take a deep breath with me. Exhale. Another deep breath. Exhale. Now as you breathe in one last time, breathe in again. Fix your eyes on me and notice everything around the room without taking your eyes off me. Wow, mindfulness. Presence. Also notice there's a part of you that knows you're looking at those things, but you're not looking at them, are you? Picture a pink elephant for a moment. Can you see it? Anyone see the pink elephant? Is there an elephant in the room? Here's a spooky question. Who's looking at the elephant? No, but there's a part of you that knows you're looking at the elephant. What's that part of you? Good questions. This is what you should meditate on. You want to wake up that sleeping power within. It's not from my slides. It's from you experiencing the truth I'm trying to share with you. You can only know truth through experience. You can't understand it. That's the problem, Mando. They lean on their understanding. That's why they make it hard for themselves. So by all means, experience what I'm going through. Keep yourself awake. You can also take a nap. It's totally fine. This will only be for the ones who need to hear it. So he thought about this and he goes, okay, I'm going to do this. It doesn't matter what the legal system says, what the financial system says. I'm going to get myself out of bankruptcy. So he sets his mind to it. And within 6 months, he got out of it. Does anyone want to know the story?
Yes.
Of how he got out of bankruptcy? I mean, wouldn't it be curious to you? Like, how? What are you talking about? That's not even possible. I don't know the full thing. If you ever get a chance, if anyone wants to connect with him, by the way, you just literally tell me. I will give you an introduction on WhatsApp. There's no pitch or anything like that. You could work with him. I don't have offers. You could work with him. He's great. He's amazing. He's changed my life. But I can connect with you, and you should ask him the question, what happened? How'd you get out of bankruptcy? Here's the short version. He had a friend, so he couldn't get a credit card. He couldn't go to the grocery store, nothing. He only had some cash on him. He couldn't even go to the grocery store, but it would not work. Now he's thinking, I'm going to get a house. I'm started looking at houses while he's broke with bankruptcy. Now, what does that show you? Delusion, right? Power of the mind supersedes the power of the law of man. So he starts looking at houses. He's like, I'm going to get a house. But you need a mortgage for that. And here's what happened. At that time, he had helped another person who was a banker. And this guy just came back into his life. And one day he calls him. He goes, Satish, I need you to come to my office. Because months ago he asked him, he said, can you help me get a credit card, just a $1,000 credit card? He goes, I can't, man. The computer system literally says you're not allowed, you're bankruptcy. He goes, okay. And in his mind, he's like, visualizes, I'm going to get what I want. One day he just calls me and goes, I need you to come into my office. He goes, is everything okay? He's like, just listen, come into my office. I need to see you. He walks in and goes, what's wrong? He goes, give me your SIN number. He goes, for what? He goes, I'm giving you a mortgage, a credit card. Sorry, I'm giving you a credit card. He goes, but you said you can't give me credit. He goes, I don't know how to explain it, but your bankruptcy isn't showing up in the computer. That same day, he went to the grocery, tried to do his credit card, declined. He got this credit card, $1,000 credit card, walked out. As soon as he left and he had it, bankruptcy popped back up on the computer. He couldn't get another credit card. He tried. I hear shit like that and my skin just, my hair sticks up. Wow. So remember, there's an invisible hand that is always guiding things in our life for us. Things led to other things, led to other things. Within 6 months, he was able to get a mortgage. He started making money. Again, you could talk to him about the personal things, but it's really spooky. He thought this to himself, and he did. And within 6 months, he got out of bankruptcy. And the only thought he had was this. What do I want to do in my life? Do I still want to do real estate? He also had a chain of silver learning centers. He was a good businessman. He goes, I want to dedicate my life to teaching the philosophy that helped me change my life. So this is a whole nother story. He sends a blank check to the Napoleon Hill Foundation. No one's done this shit, man. Only from Canada. He sends a blank check. Napoleon Hill Foundation, it just says, whatever the price for the license of Think and Grow Rich, I want it. These guys were like, who the hell is this guy? Who's this guy coming in like Scarface and shit? So they quoted him. It was quite a penny. And he got the US license, and then the Canadian one, and then the UK one. All the major English-speaking countries he owns the licenses for. So you can buy it. But he got it. He was like the only president of Think and Grow Rich in the world that was like the main one. He actually developed his own version of the curriculum. He built this course. This is actually a screenshot of his course. We have it inside of our programs in the past. And it's a great course. If you want to really unlock Think and Grow Rich, I would connect with him. So just tell me, I'll connect you. I would ask him for his course and ask him for mentorship because he has more than TGR. He himself was he had a degree in like Shakespeare. He's an incredibly brilliant man. So he broke down Think and Grow Rich into the most sophisticated ways, the beautiful ways. He developed his own designs around how to understand it. He'll tell you it's Napoleon Hill. But I'm like, what books it teach? I read 13 of his books. I haven't seen this goal diagram. And where's all these stuffs coming from? And he's like, Napoleon Hill. I'm like, oh. So he started doing that. And this is actually, he's the world's leading expert on Think and Grow Rich. In fact, this is Napoleon Hill's grandson. I got to meet him in West Virginia when I went to the Napoleon Hill Foundation office, which had all his typewriters and all this old stuff. It's crazy. I was touching him. Holy shit, this is the original manuscript of Outwitting the Devil is sitting in front of me. It's like this big. It's crazy. So he even endorsed him. Like they said that the course that he wrote has finally brought all of his work together in one place. So when I heard this story, I remember sitting in this seminar and thinking, wow, like whatever the mind really can conceive and believe it can achieve. Like I didn't think this stuff is possible. And there are people out there that don't know how to pay their bills. This is how small the mind has become. The world is designed to show you what you can't do. We need to start thinking what we can do. We need to start defying circumstances, the lack of evidence around us, the naysaying, the doubt. If we keep becoming creatures of our circumstance, we'll never grow. Animals live this way. In psychology, there's a term called SPR, stimulus pause response. And what it shows is that human beings, they have the ability when they get stimulus, their ability to pause before and respond is what makes them human. Animals only have SR. They stimulate, they respond. If they're horny, if they're hungry, they eat. They're angry, they fight. They don't have the consciousness to stop and think about their actions. So you ever see a lion just sitting there like, shouldn't I have roared today? No, but humans can. Now what happens when we start giving up the power of pausing? Do we become more powerful humans or do we become? I said it, not you.
That's an the ability to give up the animalistic.
Yeah.
Get the exact quote. Well, yeah, like it's like proportion of success to relate to that.
Yeah. Because if we're just living in our reactions, our impulses, our cravings, that's where the devil gets you. But we're not exercising our mind. We're just living in the rhythm of responding to whatever comes our way. So the act of thinking, I'll give you another one that's on this presentation. You guys should take this one down. There's a difference between thoughts and thinking. People confuse this. How many of you have ever overthought before? I've been overthinking, I'm overwhelmed. When you say I'm overthinking, what you're saying is I am overhearing too many thoughts. You're not actually thinking. Thinking is a conscious activity. To actually think, you must be in full presence and awareness of your thought. If you ever want to test this out, talk to me. I have an exercise. I do with every single person. It snaps them into presence. Like, holy shit, I'm thinking now, but I was just hearing thoughts. It's weird, but it's different. It's funny, Think and Grow Rich. Think is a meditative action. There is no overthinking. Only overbearingly hearing thoughts that you can't stop. So I realized this, and I realized again, whatever the mind can conceive and believe it can achieve, and there's an invisible hand that can make things happen that we can't. So that was only secret number 2 he learned in that lesson. Secret number 3 he learned. The most valuable currency in the world is the ability to influence other people. How many agree? Yes or no? What do you do, sir?
Real estate.
Real estate. If you didn't know how to influence people, could you be successful?
No, everything is influence and sales, right?
Everything is, right? Anyone here want to challenge me? You have a profession where influence doesn't matter?
Even in personal life.
Personal life. Do you have kids?
No.
Who has kids here? Can you parent them without influence? You could try. So nothing in this world, no currency is greater than influence. I spoke at a crypto conference for this. And I had everyone question, what's the most valuable currency in the world? Everyone was like, Bitcoin, Dogecoin, this coin, chair coin. I'm like, what the fuck are all these coins? Right. Ethereum. I'm like, no, guys. They're like, oh, I get it. Forex, USD CAD. I'm like, guys, wrong question, right question, wrong conference. And they're like, I'm like, what is it? I said, influence. Influence, man. Now, some of the traders, they'll go, no, but I don't talk to anyone. You influence yourself, don't you? In those moments when you make a bad trade, devil speak in your ear, do it. Over leverage your account. This one's going to be big. Then go to Vegas and put it on 32 red. You'll be rich overnight. And then you do that shit and you wipe out your account. That was me, actually. That's when I stopped trading for good. I did great, and then one decision. I'm like, shit. I like psychology more. I'll get into business, not trading. That's what I did. There's the most valuable currency in the world. The more people you influence, the richer you're going to be. Straight from Napoleon, nobody said. Andrew Carnegie even taught this. From all the different highest level people in the world he was studying, this is what they knew. The more people you can influence, the more richer you'll be. So if you want more money, if you want more wealth, if you want more connection, you need to learn influence. Now, what does influence stem from? Anyone want to tell me? You guys are influential people, of course. I mean, you have relationships in your life. You're here. This is literally influence in a room. What does influence stem from? How do you work on becoming more influential? Tell me. Anyone know? You can shout it out. Vision? Clarity? If I want to become more influence, I want to increase my influence as a person, what do I do? Believe in yourself, okay. What's that?
Better speaker.
Okay, speak better. Okay.
What drives them?
Over there, someone give me an answer from there.
Conviction. Whatever you're trying to influence.
Okay. You want to give an answer? What stems influence? Like, how do you work on influence?
Your spirit.
Your spirit? Okay, that's a good one. Phonesales.com? You're a sales expert, I want to know.
I think conviction as well.
Conviction? Trust? It's good. Notice your own answers. Notice your own answers. They're about you with yourself. Interesting, eh? Influence. If you guys want to know more about influence, we'll talk. It's not in this presentation. But no one can succeed without influence. Nobody. First person you influence is who? Your wife. I'm joking. Wrong answer. Don't try. Okay, yourself. You influence yourself. You have to understand your mind. Some people will sit down with me, and I'm like 24 years old, 25 years old. I'm working with a suicide case. I sit down, and they're like, how do you do it? Aren't you afraid? I'm like, no. Like, but how do you know how to do what you're doing? I'm like, I didn't take a course on it. I mean, I study crazy, but the deeper I go within myself, the deeper I understand you. We all have a mind. We all have the same emotion. We might be different people. You could be a girl, I'm a guy. You could be white, I could be black. It doesn't matter how we look on the outside or how we are on the outside. On the inside, we feel the same thing. Let me ask you a question. Do you know what sadness is? Have you ever felt sad? Okay, now how many of you think I feel different sad than he does? Different emotion. That'd be a good question, though, to really ponder on. No, but theoretically we'll say, we all feel the same emotion. It could be stem from different things. One man could lose $1 billion. Market crashes. He will feel absolutely depressed if he's attached to that money, yeah? Another person could just lose their cat, and they love that fucking cat. And they'll sit there as depressed as the billionaire, no? Very different life. Same emotion. The more you understand yourself, your thoughts, your emotions, your mind, your inner workings, the better you understand people. So if you want to understand people, go within, don't go without. Don't go into a fucking course. Don't pick up a book. I made a post recently, it was controversial. I said, read yourself, not books. Someone said, yeah, but read books too. What's that? I said, read yourself, not books. Someone's like, but books are good too. And then I remember, oh yeah, in the world, everyone's not supposed to agree. That's beautiful too. It's a balance. It's crazy, man. So, secret number 4. You guys ready for 4? Yes. Are you sure? Yes. Only if it's valuable will I continue. I don't want to waste your time. Everyone good? Yes, sir. Democratic vote? Yeah. Let's go. Vote for number 4? Okay. All right. All right, everyone take a deep breath. I just like breathing. I think respira is mucho bueno. Exhale. Also, breath is what living is. When God created man, I don't know the story. I don't argue the legitimacy of it. I just know the metaphor is really beautiful. God blew air into man. That's how you became alive. What a metaphorical, beautiful truth. And then also, the Hebrew word for God is Yahweh? Anyone know this? As an Israeli, you're right. You can say Yahweh, right? How do you pronounce Yahweh? Can you say it? Yehovah. Presence, it does. The Hebrew is beautiful people. You know something else I learned from a saint, Catholic saint? I saw this video. It was fucking blew my mind. He said the actual word Yahweh, which means God, is the only word that when you pronounce, your mouth and your tongue does not touch. Yahweh. I'm like, this sounds cool. And then he went on. He said, because the word Yahweh, which is the resemblance to the word of God, is not a word at all. It's the actual action of breath. Yahweh. 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 When I heard that, man, like tears filled my eyes. Fuck. God is in our breath. The name of God is the first word you speak when you're born. It's the last word you speak when you die. They also did studies and found that in your DNA strands, there's a sequence of 10, 5, 6, 5. And you look at the numerology next to the letter, it spells YHWH, Yahweh. In your DNA, name of God is spelled. In your breath, word of God is spoken. I'm not trying to preach religion. I'm not even religious, believe it or not. I just love God. Just love truth. What a beautiful thing to know. So if I make you breathe, take it up with him. Secret number 4. There are only 2 things most of humanity is looking for. This is what the lesson was teaching to Satish. It says money and peace of mind. Anyone disagree? Some people go, no, relationships, that's peace of mind. Health, peace of mind. Anything under the scope of non-material gain is peace of mind. Is you being at peace within yourself and with your relationships. In fact, wisdom is known to be appropriating yourself with the nature of how things are. That's what a wise person is. They understand that seasons come. The foolish person, winter comes and they're freezing outside on beach shores. They don't understand the nature, the seasons. A wise person doesn't complain that it's winter, they just buy a goose jacket. Yeah? So, there are only 2 things most humanity is looking for is money and peace of mind. Now let me ask you something. Does money bring you peace of mind? Open floor. Does it? Come on. Tell that to someone who's broke.
It's nice though.
It's nice? Well, what is that though? What you're feeling? Isn't that peace of mind?
Yeah, it's part of it. So it is not, they're not mutually exclusive.
Got it.
It could, money does give you peace of mind.
Does it give you peace of mind?
Yeah.
It could give you
It could, right? Yeah?
for me, it buys me access to things like this.
Yeah, that's true. It's beautiful. Anyone else? Does money give you peace of mind?
Yes.
It does.
No, it does. It is the currency that brings you peace of mind.
Beautiful.
Because it's a currency that buys freedom. It's a currency that buys shelter. It's a currency that buys food.
Mm-hmm. So what is peace of mind?
That's what you're good for.
I am honored. That's all I've been living for a long time now. It is a different flavor of life. This keynote will never be sufficient enough. Something like that you can only experience, you cannot be told. I can't tell you the color of a strawberry if you're blind. I'm not calling you blind. Metaphor. You've never seen the color, it's hard to explain. It's something you can only see for yourself. How do you not know what you're feeling is happiness, not peace? You feel it, you're like, it's nice though. How do you not know it's just happiness?
By being with myself. I know the difference.
That's a beautiful answer. Great answer. How does one know?
Calm.
It's a calmness to peace. So what's happiness like? I mean, when you make money, when you make that sale. I made my millions. I know every time it felt good. I'm like, was that peace? What's that? Isn't that the nature of happiness? Doesn't last. So if it lasts, is peace of mind?
For me, the answer is no.
I love this. I just want to make you think. Not just hear thoughts that you can't control. This is good. This is the part where it's important for me. I don't care about the stuff I shared. I care that you guys think.
It's being calm with the ups and downs, currents of life, being bad and not being needs, and just being okay with it.
There's definitely an element of calmness in there. You're on the right track for sure. 100%. Happiness has a volatility to it, doesn't it? Someone told me, yeah, go ahead.
I would agree with that. Just flow and embracing everything.
Flow is a great word. Beautiful word. Going with the flow.
The little voice shutting down.
That's great.
Inner peace is love and surrender. It's nothing to do with money.
Now that's some beautiful words right there. Love and surrender. That's an interesting thing he just said. Peace has nothing to do with money, he said. So now the next question was, can peace of mind bring you money? Good question. So the first one was, does money give you peace of mind? It can. We don't know, is it? It's undecided. Second question is, can peace of mind bring you money?
No. Also, definitely helps.
Definitely helps. Any takers? Want to give an answer?
Like the attachment to money, peace of mind, and without that attachment, it's easier to go and actually get money.
Yeah, definitely when you're at peace, there is no attachment, is there? So can it help you make more money?
Yeah, I think it helps.
Yeah. So we so far undecidedly and tentatively have kind of sort of understood, which is okay, very normal. You need a lot of time inside to get truth with these things. First one we've noticed is maybe money can bring you peace of mind, or maybe it's not peace of mind, it brings you something else. But we also know if you have peace of mind, it's easier to make money. That one we know for sure. I mean, if you're stressed, you're going to make a lot of money? And if you do, will you last long? No. So if you're at peace, you're in flow, beautiful word, you know how to work better. Good point. Keep these ideas in your mind. Next question is there a direct relationship between money and peace of mind? Carlos? Direct relationship between money and peace of mind, is there?
I think so.
You think so? How do you know?
Because when you have peace of mind, you have clarity, you can attract money easier.
Okay. Anyone else want to answer? It's a good answer.
Like a personal answer to each person.
You're asking as if there's a right or wrong answer.
Sorry?
You're asking as if there's a right or wrong answer. We're just having a discussion. Share exactly what comes to your mind.
Basically, like, the answer is going to be different. Each one is going to assess like what the relationship between money and peace of mind is. Like
Yeah.
people, for example, that you would take it to the example grew up very connected to nature and never experienced, what modern society may experience.
Yeah.
Would answer some way. They say no. They never had money. They didn't need money. They had peace of mind.
And peace of mind and money, the question is, does it have a direct relationship? Or is it just like two separate things that kind of affect each other, but they're not actually the same thing? I mean, this is a good question to ask coming from Think and Grow Rich, because it literally says think and grow rich.
In our society, it's a direct relationship.
That's a very good answer. First one I've heard like this.
And everyone here doesn't think it's a direct relationship is because we've already crossed the barrier with spell on good direct relationship. Now it matters more. Some people it matters less and others for different things. But you have nothing in our society. Money and peace of mind are directly related. You cannot have peace of mind if you don't have absolute.
It's a good one. So when you don't have money, there's a direct relationship with peace of mind and money. And when you do have it, there's no relation at all, is there? You realize when you have enough of it, it does nothing for your peace of mind. Doesn't it? This is why this room is interesting for me. I've spoken in different audiences. You share this with someone who's struggling. You know their answers. Every time I have different answers, and I love it because I learn from you guys. I'm not here to be right. I'm here to understand, to experiment. Really well said. Thank you for sharing that. Maybe that means that the people in this room are the only ones with the opportunity to share truth like that. Just maybe. Because the ones who don't know that, they spend their whole life struggling to fulfill a false idea that this is existing. Maybe. I'm not trying to start a revolution, but whatever you want to take it as.
I was hoping.
You be the first to sign up. All I know is walking the journey and then losing it all with grace, embodying not needing it, and then opening my mind and my heart to getting it differently has really changed how I look at all of it. And I also see other people, they need to be shared the same kind of truths. These are the kind of questions that we explore in Think and Grow Rich. Or more specifically, and I want to make this I'm being very honest with you guys, like truthful with you guys. This is not who I am anymore. This title, what I came here for, it's not what I live every day. I don't have my own goals. My definiteness of purpose is beyond my own material gain. It's a weird devotional service to just give everything I have away. I just believe life is about giving on one end and forgiving on the other end. You let go. Forgiving is literally meaning letting go. And you give away everything you have. That's what I'm doing. But if you ever want to dive deeper into these things, let me just connect you to the President. That's what he lives every day. That's his purpose. That's his dharma. So he studies it like 18 hours a day. He loves it. And he still has a spiritual element. So you can still get that from him too. I still talk to him all the time about it. But I'm just extremely throwing myself on the other side of the deep end. So, secret number 5. You guys ready?
Yes.
You guys having fun?
Yes.
Are you sure? Yes. Turn to someone and tell you you're having fun. Now, don't lie. If you're having a shit time, tell them this is fucking terrible. That's fine. I love honesty. I don't have a preference. Imagine I, as a speaker, I'm having a terrible time. That's honesty, man. No, I'm loving this. It's fun. Only because you guys are contributing and you're talking and we're getting to talk, and I want to talk more with you afterwards if you have questions. To me, this is not a presentation. I'm not a paid speaker. I don't have an offer to sell. You can understand that my genuine objective here is just to share the message. Honestly, that's it. Whatever comes from it, it's not even mine to be excited about or be grateful for or be sad about not getting it. It doesn't matter to me. So you guys are what I'm having fun with. Secret number 5 is what Satish read, is that it's no secret that there is an invisible power that surrounds all of us. This invisible power is the source of all knowledge and power. Even if you don't pay attention to it, something in you knows it's there. What I think religion does poorly is it just impose it on you, like they're trying to rape you. Like you don't want it, but they're like, no, have it. That's not spiritualism. It's spiritual ego. I just want to remind you to be aware that it's there. It doesn't want anything from you, by the way, that invisible power. It wants nothing. It needs nothing. It doesn't want you to live your life a certain way, give your life up. It doesn't want any of that. What it wants is for you to want to know what you want. That's what free will is. But just be aware of it. I was telling Kevin this beautiful metaphor. I said, see, if I take a friend to the movies, and we're sitting there in the theater, and we're watching this action movie, and there's all these different scenes. There's a scary scene, an adrenaline scene, a love scene, a sad scene, right? And I'm watching the movie, I'm enjoying it. But if I look to my right, I see this person experiencing the movie like this, in their seat. Someone's getting killed, and they're sitting there like this. Don't you think something would be wrong with them? What's the first thing you would do? You need to see a doctor. What's going on with you? But imagine I looked over and I said, hey man, what's going on? I'm dying. And I look at the movie. No, character in the movie's dying. What are you doing? Like, it's a movie. See, if a person loses the awareness that they're just watching the movie, they're not in it, that's when they start losing their mind. That's when they start drifting. That's when all the suffering starts. This is how life is, isn't it? There is an invisible power. Becoming aware of it again is realizing you are not the one playing in the movie. It's not real at all. You can be in this world, but not of this world. It's okay to want stuff. There's a point in my journey where I hated it. I hated myself for wanting them. And then I realized, it's my ego again. It just wants to catch me wherever it can. I realized real spiritualism is not about only good things happening and all the bad things not happening. That's spiritualism. Hell is all the stuff you don't want happening to you all the time and you can't stop it. That's hell, right? Any form of hell that's described is that. What you don't want happening is happening all the time to you and you can't stop it. So then what's heaven? Well, interesting question. Well, given that description, heaven should be what you always want happening to you, happening all the time and you can't stop it? Wait, what? That's a form of hell too, isn't it? Oh, we got this all fucking backwards, don't we? But that's what we're all praying for, right? Deep inside, especially that world. I don't want to go to hell where all the things that I don't want happening is happening to me and I can't stop it. Man, you're living in it right now. You have no idea what you're capable of. And you're enduring what you don't want every fucking day of your life, and you don't know you can change it. The hell that all the scriptures were talking about is happening now. There is no then or there. There's only right now. So then what is heaven? Now I'm a curious nerd, so I'm like, I really want to know. So in one heaven, you get 72 virgins. I'm like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything? No, I'm serious. And by the way, I love all the religions. One of my best friends teaches me Islam all day, every day. And then my mentor is Hindu background, Sefer realization. I grew up in churches. I love them all. But I seek to find the truth in it, not what everyone's trying to tell me that they believe. I don't believe belief is where God is. Your beliefs cannot reach God, can it? To believe something is to not know it. Now, do you know your parents or do you believe they exist? We know them. You know them. But if you believed in them, it'd be weird, wouldn't it? Now, do you believe in God? Odd question. This is the kind of weird shit I've been into. I said, no, I know God. Because when I sleep at night, my whole body takes over, my heart beats, my organs run, my mind goes somewhere, and I'm not doing any of it. I'm operating in a God state when I'm asleep. That can't just be happening. I said, right now, if my heart stopped, I die, but it keeps moving and I don't do anything about it. That can't be me. So I know there is something. This is all this is trying to say. Napoleon Hill figured it out after spending his whole life studying these people, studying himself. But like I said, to know truth is not to understand it here, it's to experience. To find a clear solution. That's the byproduct of Think and Grow Rich. The purpose is to develop a relationship with that invisible power. You go, Armin, that sounds like religion. I go, well, shit, you're finally getting it. Everyone's just trying to teach their own version of going to God. They just don't want to say it, do they? Fucking hell. Positive anger I have. It's a passion. We want peace, or we don't want to know God. That's like wanting to go for a swim, but we don't want to know the ocean. We want to take a shower, but we don't want the water. I don't know. Let me know if it works for you. It's been changed for me. It works. It's beautiful. So, how many of you would trade everything you have for this ability? Wouldn't that be worth everything? Just the ability to be able to find a clear solution to any problem you have in your life that you're ever stuck with. Meaning there are no problems anymore, is there? Your mind develops a reflex. Now, most of us have a failure reflex, don't we? An auto-failure reflex. Not most of us. Obviously, we're here for a different reason. But what is the world like? Something happens, and their first reflex is how to fail at it. When we study all the principles of Think and Grow Rich, it works like an alphabet. You can't take one letter out. I was asked this question today. What's your favorite chapter of Think and Grow Rich? I said, that's a great question. When you understand it, when you read it and you live it for so long, you start to realize that all the principles, like an alphabet, if I remove B from the alphabet, it doesn't work anymore. So I love all of it. It's one law he is teaching you in the action of 13 principles. When you understand that, then you really know there's only one secret. It's not 13 principles. It's not 13 secrets. It's not 13 laws. It's one secret that you act and you embody and you live in 13 principles. Does that make sense?
One law that you act and embody 13 principles.
One law that is taught to you in 13 principles. There's more, but that's the point. So there's only one. Now, if you read the book, you study it, you have conversations with me, let me know if you figure out what that one secret is, because there is only one. Last secret. You guys ready for this?
Yes.
Yes? Yes. You sure? Yes. 6 people? Yes, sir. Yes on the same time. 1, 2, 3?
Yes.
Okay. Number 6. The most important part of your success is not going to come from me or anyone else or any program, coach, any religion, anything. Because it already is within you. My hope is that all the people that are trying to teach this keep that as the center point of what they're teaching. Because it's very easy for us to hear someone and go, I need them now to get there. You don't need me. You don't need anything. You don't even need to rethink and grow rich. If you just walk away from this and go, holy shit, there is an invisible power that's making it all happen, and I just want to know what it is. And you just seek it. Make your life about it. Make it in every action you do, everything you do in your business, in your relationships. Seek the invisible power, the truth in it all. You will become Think and Grow Rich. You don't need to read it. By learning and applying all these rules, you will discover what's called, what Napoleon calls your other self. Your other self. There's a very famous story in Outwitting the Devil. He talks about how he was in a very bad adversity for 1 year of his life. And after having everything, losing everything, one day he just got up and he's like, I can't live like this anymore. He lived in fear every day because he had a gun on him and he thought people were trying to kill him. So one day he's like, I'm just going to go for a walk. And I'm going to walk until I find peace, until I find clarity, until I fix what's happening inside me. You want to know a very deep wisdom of doing anything fully in your life, do it until. People go, how long do you meditate, Armin? I'm like, it goes between 1 to 4 hours. Sometimes I'll sit there for the whole day, my ass goes numb and I forget I'm in a body. And sometimes I spend 10 minutes. They go, see what they're doing is they're going, how much should I meditate? I go, you shouldn't meditate how much I meditate. You should meditate until you find what you're looking for there. Yeah, how many hours should I put into the business? Until you feel fulfilled, like you did what you need to do. Conclusions are illusions. This is something I've been learning. Conclusions are illusions. The ego starves for false certainty. We need to know. Tell me what to do, how to do it, when to do it. Give me someone to compare it to so I make sure it is the right thing. It's starving for false certainty. Release the need to be certain, and you will find your other self. Certainties themselves are the trap. And a lot of people don't do that. Why? Because you go, no, certainty, Armin, earlier today, certainty is influence. Don't tell me, man. I taught this stuff. I know what you mean. Is it? If I'm more convincing than you, maybe. But many people don't want to give up certainty because they're afraid. Why are they afraid? They think if you replace certainty, what's going to fill its place? Uncertainty. Everyone say uncertainty. Does anyone like uncertainty here? Sometimes. I mean, in certain places with context, I don't know what's going to happen. But do you really like uncertainty? What does it feel when you're uncertain? Say the word. Uncomfortable. Now, does uncomfortable feel comfortable? Does it feel good? Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate that. I love where your mind is. I love that. He said to the masochist. Does it feel good to be uncomfortable? Yes or no? Say it the way it is. Not a trick question. Does it feel good? It does not feel good. Now, how many things that you should probably do that are right for you don't feel good because they're uncomfortable? Yes or no? Many things, right? That's how the devil fucked us. Let me give you a little secret here. This is not even in the presentation. Let me just give this to you. I document every day of my life, outwitting the devil, step by step, every introspection. I have 80 days of recorded in audio and in my notes. And I've watched every fucking thing that came through my mind. I wrote it down. I learned so much. 29 lessons just in the first 30 days. Here's one of them. There's a difference between good and bad and right and wrong. What feels good could be wrong. Because what feels good feels comfortable. But comfort is not where you do the right thing usually. Usually what the right thing is doing something uncomfortable so it feels bad. So what does the devil convince you? Tells you, don't do the right thing because it feels bad, because doing the wrong thing feels good. So it must be right. The way I like to explain it is, a friend comes to you and goes, let's go rob this fucking bank. Like, we need some money. And you go, dude, I'm not robbing a bank. It's wrong. Everyone say wrong. Wrong. Okay, anyone robbed a bank here before? Just once. That's enough. You got to try everything once in life. So let's say your friend comes up to you and says, let's go rob this bank. I go, that's wrong. He goes, but dude, it's not even their money. We pay taxes, kind of like our money. Insurance will cover and pay them back. I go, these are all fucking good points, Am I convincing anyone, one of you right now? I mean, technically, nothing happens. No one gets hurt. Those are called, and you can write this down, justifications. And anything that needs to be justified is not true. I'm trying to give you a system of decision-making here. I hope it could serve you the way it served me in my life. If you're in a relationship that you don't know if you should end or not, use what I'm teaching you right now.
Was that anything that needs justification?
Anything that needs to be justified is not true. And truth is what sets you free. Anything that needs to be justified is a lie. I go, Armin, what are you talking about? Well, I have to justify robbing a bank, can I? And I can make it sound good, but it'll never make it right, will it? Now, if someone you walk on the street and they're in dire help, like they're fucking crying or something is broken, what's the innate thing in you to do? You want to run up and help them. Now, wouldn't it be odd if you stopped and go, I should help them. I haven't helped someone in a long time. They also look like they need it. It's a good idea. Come on, let's go. It'd be weird, wouldn't it? So there's a part of our humanity that knows what truth is. It doesn't need to be justified. I'm trying to help you get clear on the difference of what is right and what is wrong in your own life. And it is up to you to know. I am a little old-fashioned. Call me traditional, especially in this fucking world today. And my heart is with them, my compassion to them. I think I actually know, innately in all of us, we know. I believe we know what it means, what's right, what's wrong. I don't think that shit needs to be taught. I think we have to stop trying to teach it so we can just go into stillness and feel it. There is a conscience in you. No one's teaching us to develop a relationship with it. We feel fear in our gut. We go, Armin, is that my intuition? No. You don't know what intuition is. You live your life in reaction. Don't sit there and tell me you're feeling what a spiritual guru feels without doing any of the work. So everything you feel, you can almost guarantee it's not gut. Now, does God work on the spectrum of you have to become enlightened? No, he can pluck you out of the side in darkness. How many stories have you heard? Someone's in a prison, turns his life around. Holy shit, what happened? That guy didn't do spiritual work, go to an ashram. Yes, that happens sometimes. God could just pluck you out of the side and go, I'm going to show you enlightenment. I'm going to show you truth. But for everyone else that doesn't happen to, there is somewhat of a spectrum that we need to kind of climb for ourselves. And it's only made up by us, not by God. But in that work, it's a lot of stillness and learning to concentrate the mind so we can hear our soul. What is our soul? Our awareness. Like I said, look at the pink elephant. Your eyes are not looking at them, my friends. Who is? And it's not who, it's what. You and God are looking at that elephant. And it's not so that much that you see it, because seeing is physical. It's that you know you can see it. Knowing is truth. So you discover your other self. What Napoleon, I realized from all my work, was talking about was your true self, the consciousness. So he walked for 4 hours in the forest, and then out of nowhere, he walked until something stopped him, and he didn't know what it was, and it just felt very overwhelming. He felt a sensation going through his body, and he just heard this voice come through him in the form of a thought, and he knew it wasn't his thoughts. It came in and said, stop walking. It's time for you to fulfill the purpose you have on this earth. It's really deep if you read the book. I don't want to butcher it. You should go watch it. You should go read it. I got chills. I was like, I'm getting chills right now. I'm like, holy shit. His other self just stepped in. He's like, it's time for you to stop. You need to do the shit you've been putting off for your whole time because you've been distracted with business opportunities and making money and all this shit. You were given a purpose when you were 20 years old. You need to finish it. Outwitting the devil.
What was his last book? Something about rich and peace of mind.
Grow Rich with Peace of Mind. That book, yeah. That's a great one too. So he discovered his other self, and that led to him publishing Think and Grow Rich. Now, we don't have time for that story. I can share it with you after if you want, but you can also read about it. It's a beautiful story. I realize he's talking about your self-awareness, your consciousness coming in, taking over. And there is a texture to it. I can only show you what it is if you sat with me in stillness. I can't tell you what it is. It's not possible until I can't go where that experience is. That's kind of the work I do now with these people. I had no charge. I just sit down. I do these workshops. I'm work with people one-on-one. I'm just showing them this. And it heals yourself. You don't need any coaching, man. Make God your coach. Shit, it's built into you. Literally, the universe built into you. All of the answers, if you want your auto success reflex, inside of you. The principles of TGR are just a practical guide for what to do physically so you can get there eventually. Or you could just step into pure consciousness and just experience it right on the spot. So much more there is. In case you've forgotten, the force of the universe is behind you. And I think that concludes my talk, so thank you.